Attention England, who covers these things in America. I am Michael Savage. I'm a conservative commentator. And I strongly resent this Pope coming here and lecturing us in this country about taking in more immigrants when we take in more immigrants than the whole world put together. That's number one. And I greatly resent this hypocrite from Rome who does not take in any refugees from Syria, but tells us to take them into our homes. I am Michael Savage, American. And in my great new book, Government Zero, I report that the entire speech on the environment was written for him by a radical German named Schellnhuber. And I swear in a stack of Bibles, every word I just said is true. And the Pope didn't write the Bible I swear on.
Join the Savage.
Let's go to a caller or two on the Savage Nation. Thanks for holding. WMAL in Washington. Brent, go ahead. What's on your mind, Brent?
I was wondering if you had actually spoken with a priest or possibly even the bishop out there in San Francisco, instead of kind of listening to the twisted rhetoric of the media about
Excuse me, sir, what are you talking about? I am the media. I'm not quoting anybody. I'm reading from my own book.
Okay, it sounds like you're taking the rhetoric of the liberal media instead of going to the source.
Sir, what you are, you're a true believer who didn't hear a word I said for the last hour, did you? You didn't listen to one word.
No,
did the Catholic Church send out a memo for you to read on shows like mine?
There was
Sir, I just read to you my analysis of the Pope's writings on the environment and the poor, and I showed you where his writings came from. Did you hear that or not?
Yes, but I'm not going to take your word for it. I'd have to check that out myself.
Well, go ahead, check it out yourself. Do you know who Schellnhuber is?
He's talking about creation.
Wait, sir, listen to me. Please. Do you know who Schellnhuber is? Have you ever heard of him before?
We have an impact on the earth.
I asked you a question. Do you know who Schellnhuber is, yes or no?
I know who he is from what you said.
Now, are you saying I'm inventing the man?
He's probably a real man, but I do not know of his ties to the Pope except what you have put forth.
Well, then you learned something. Are you open-minded enough to see if I invented it just to be a wise guy, or if I'm trying to warn you and the rest of the world as to the radical inclinations of this Pope?
I will go check him out and see about it. Are you open enough to go talk to a priest?
No. I hope you're open enough to receive a free copy of the book, because I have footnotes and references to everything I just said on my show, because I am a scholar by training. I don't make stuff up. Stay on the line. You get a free book. References to everything I just said. Schellnhuber is real. I am the media. Pope Francis has a speechwriter, and he has different speechwriters for different subjects. And on the issue of the environment, his speechwriter is a well-known Gaia worshiper, scientific advisor, is the radical Gaia worshiper and climate hoax scientist Joachim Schellnhuber. I told you that in the last chapter. It's from pages 219 to 222 of Government Zero. But it's paganism. We all want a clean earth, but we don't worship nature. We don't worship trees. We don't worship rocks. Christianity does not worship rocks. Christianity doesn't worship nature. We respect nature. We don't worship nature. Do you understand that? And Christians don't consider Earth a living organism, as the modern secular Gaia cult does. Now, listen to what comes up in the Pope's encyclical Laudato Si on Care for Our Common Home. The sister, meaning the earth, now cries out to us because of the harm we have inflicted on her by our own irresponsible use and abuse of the goods with which God has endowed her. That didn't come from St. Francis. It came from the Pope, but it really came from Schellnhuber. This is straight Gaia cult nonsense, wherein the earth is alive and human beings are inflicting violence upon her. Schellnhuber's beliefs, as mouthed by Francis, include a whole range of radical ideas that would horrify most Catholics. He sees human beings as a threat that must be diminished. He has said, quote, the carrying capacity of the earth is below 1 billion people. Did you know that? That's a radical idea. That means what? Eliminate 4 billion people from the earth? Although he's backed away from that statement when confronted by it, but it was written by Schellnhuber. Schellnhuber belongs to a whole subgroup of radical liberal environmentalists who believe the human population must be vastly decreased to save the Earth Goddess. Did you know any of this? With Schellnhuber advising him and his own Marxist biases, Pope Francis has produced a gargantuan piece of leftist propaganda that includes just about every hard left fallacy ever foisted upon the gullible, including the Gaia cult narrative, the climate change hoax, Marxist thoroughly discredited economic theories, and the standard class warfare our demagogic president promotes every chance he gets. Page 221 of Government Zero. Get a copy while it still can be gotten. Give it to a Catholic doubter. He even manages to work in a deferential reference to Islam, quoting an Islamic poet in a footnote to a passage in the, quote, mystical meaning to be found in a leaf, in a mountain trail, in a dewdrop in a poor person's face. You know, there ought to be, I'm going to say something that's in my book that's going to be quite controversial, but it's on page 222 and I'm not taking it out. There ought to be an impeachment process for popes when they use the power of their office to mislead the faithful so egregiously.
Has led me from the beginning of my ministry to advocate at different levels the global abolition of the death penalty.
You see how low class our Congress is, especially those women, whooping like they're on a Tonight Show? Screw her! That lowlife should have been tossed out in a dirty skirt. They were told not to cheer and applaud, but those degenerate leftists, woo, like they're on a night show. Finally, they got a pope and they speaks their language. I'm so fed up today, you have no idea. Well, you have some idea. Oh, so he's against the death penalty, is he? Why doesn't he talk about the death cult that's eradicating Christianity in the Middle East? Why doesn't he talk about the death cult that is enslaving Christian girls in the Middle East? Coming here lecturing me about mass murderers and rapists on death row. We should have sympathy for them, but no sympathy for the babies being torn apart by Planned Parenthood. You didn't hear one word about Planned Parenthood and those ghouls, those ghoulish swine laughing over glasses of wine at fine restaurants as they sell baby body parts. But they whoop when he talks about the murderers, the rapists on death row. Whoop! Woo! There she was on NBC. Whoop! And no one threw that girl out of that stadium there, whatever he went, Congress. The whole thing's a charade. I can't wait till it's over. When does he leave already? When does he go back to Rome?